Hey everybody, this is Jose. We are about to start around 20 something seconds. So let's use this time for a sound check. Please go ahead and confirm that you hear my voice. A quick message on the chat box would do, and that way we all know it would be right time to get started since the sound is good. So please sound check everybody. Sound is good, very good, perfect. Okay, good. So we got 1 second to go. Here we go. We just reached the top of the hour. So it's time to maximize our introduction slide so we can have a proper start of the session, official one, and we begin. Hello everybody, official start for the session. Today is November 13, 2019. My name is Jose Blasco. I will be your guide. Today we are looking into the markets from a longer term perspective. So we'll be utilizing options, looking at different types of opportunities, some long, some short. Those would be the directional trades. And then we'll be looking at the non-directional trades as well, looking at credit option strategies and so on. Before we start, I have a disclaimer for you guys, so I'll read it quickly. The following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Traditive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. Here we go. That was the introduction. So the session is now officially started, and therefore we are ready to go. Of course, here's our beautiful trade station, ready, waiting for us with even more beautiful, shiny UFOs already on the chart, giving us clues on where the unfilled orders are, and it helps us plan our trades, both for directional and non-directional, isn't it? Let me take a look at the chat box here. I can see Dear, 3, Pansy. That's great to see you all, my friends. So let's begin, okay? And as always, teamwork, okay? And if you are in the session in a regular basis, you know exactly what I mean. If you happen to be new to the session, so you're watching this recorded, teamwork means that we are collaborating in the session. Let's say I was to make a mistake while I'm planning the trade. Please make sure that you let me know. Also, if I was to ask you any question, make sure you answer. If you were to ask me any question, I'll make sure as well that I answer. And also, of course, the market will open in 29 minutes from now. So the moment the market is open, we'll be able to begin executing those options trades. And it'll be time to also continue with the teamwork, where you would decide if you want to use a paper money account or a real money account. And then, of course, you would also decide about the size. But we'll be working together on putting all those parameters in place for those trades to be executed, okay? Man, yes, I see you are requesting that we look at the Bitcoin. We may be able to take a look at that towards the end of the session, because obviously today you join us today when we are dealing with options, okay? So Bitcoin will be away from what we normally do, but if you were to remind me towards the end of the session, I would certainly be happy to take a look, okay? Good. So again, talking about what we do, here on the top, with the blue line, you can see we got directional long, directional short opportunities. So we're going to be looking into those in a minute. Okay, those are going to be our directional trades. But also we have in the bottom portion, we have the credit trades. Okay, and within credit trades, there are 3 types: non-directional, neutral long, neutral short. We always like to start focusing purely on the non-directional trades that are purely non-directional, because normally we collect more premium by running strategies such as iron condors instead of strategies such as credit spreads, which pay normally less. Okay, so we're gonna be looking at that as we begin the session today. Okay, what else do I have? I also have ready Yahoo Finance. Why do I have Yahoo Finance ready? Well, because all those stocks, AMAT, BBY, Costco, all those stocks happen to give us high premium options. And the fact that those options are very high in price may be because earnings is approaching. So for example, when you look at Costco, if I was to type Costco here, it's telling us that the earnings are going to happen on December 12th. And that's very nice, because this happens to be more or less a month away from now, which allow us to do non-directional trades. We know options expire every week, so on Fridays, Therefore, we can use either this Friday or next Friday or the next Friday all the way to that date of December 12th. That's nice, but sometimes we'll have options here in this list which provide high value for those options, high premium, and the reason why is because earnings are happening tomorrow or next week, and then we cannot take those trades. It would become a high probability trade, would then become a very, very low probability trade, and it would not be smart for us to execute. Okay, so we're gonna start, and since I click Costco and we got to see that earnings are on the 12th, we'll start with Costco. Okay, also be ready because we also know that 10 minutes before the market opens, the option chain reset. And what that means is that I basically got 15 minutes of time to start planning trades which are non-directional. After 15 minutes, the options for all those stocks will be reset to zero. And I will not be able to continue doing plans for trades that are non-directional. I'll need to move then into directional trades, and only when the market opens at 9:30 a.m. New York time, then the option chain would have then reset, and there would be now again displaying fresh market data, fresh market information, and then we would be able to go back to both directional and non-directional and keep working on everything. How are you, Ray? Good to see you. So anyway, so let's go for it. Okay, so what do we have with Costco? Okay, well, we have 53% probability if we were to use pre and post market. If we were to use regular session, the 53% becomes 48%, certainly less convenient. Okay, out of curiosity, I want to look at where Costco is in the monthly time frame. It's making all-time high, so we need to be careful with that. But certainly, even though it's making all-time high, in the pre-post market session, we can see 2 red UFOs above and multiple green UFOs below, which is one of our conditions to set up a non-directional trade, to at least have 2 of those UFOs. Okay, so it's looking, I would say, okay to begin planning a trade, and therefore, as you can see, I am loading Option Station Pro, so I'm gonna be able to begin simulating this trade. And as I said a few times before, I'm gonna start by to do so by not even thinking, meaning that the decision about which UFOs I'm gonna use will be dictated based on probabilities, and those probabilities will be coming from statistical analysis done with Option Station Pro. And once I get that results from Option Station Pro, which is gonna be a powerful calculation to be made, then I will then only then choose my UFOs and see if I can plan a trade or not. But the beginning part of the trade is just going ahead and using pure statistics. Okay, so I'm going to use November 15, which is the next expiration date. Okay, again, very quickly looking at the calendar, today, as you can see, it's November 13, so 15 is going to be next Friday, so we're going to start with that one. If this one doesn't work, we'll go for 22, 29, etc. So right click anywhere. Okay, and this is when I said, not even think about it, just right click anywhere, click Analyze Sell to pick an iron condor, and that iron condor will now show up automatically in the Analysis tab. So we can now go ahead and, without even thinking, one more time, change plus and minus 5 to minus 1 standard deviation to plus 1 standard deviation. And now, by doing so, we just found out that from now until November 15, that stock is likely going to be ranging between 295 to 305. So the question is, where is 305 on the chart? Okay, where is 305 on the chart? Do we have UFOs there? And you know what? We do. Okay, if we were to use that expiration date, okay, we could certainly use the stop of that UFO, which is 305.97. This value surpasses what statistics suggest, and therefore it would be valid. Now, the question I have in the back of my mind, and I'm sure some of you are thinking about it, is if I sell the 305 options, do I get paid enough? Okay, and actually the 305 would be, well, certainly they are paying enough, 51 cents. Our minimum is 35, isn't it? Let me load our sharpening notes so everybody has it fresh in your mind. So I'm just loading a Word document here on my other computer screen. So just bringing it here. Okay, here we go. So if I scroll down to find the information we need, we are talking about this, where normally we're shooting for 35 cents minimum. okay, sometimes will take 25 if the other side of the trade, in this case an iron condor, was to pay enough. But normally we shoot for 35, okay, where we can see 305 paying 51, which is certainly more than 35. So you know what? It's making sense to keep exploring if this opportunity in the end will work or not. So obviously, if I was to project from where current price is to that extreme of that UFO, if I was to project that distance and I was to project it below, okay, so I am barely getting to this green UFO, but remember, we always need to have at least 2 UFOs helping us. So we will need to place that line below, right? And that would be 291.48. So in other words, we're gonna have to create an iron condor here, and it's looking like it's gonna be, technically, please don't be intimidated, technically it's looking like it's gonna be what we call a broken wing iron condor. Okay, again, don't be intimidated, it's way simpler than what we think, okay? You'll see. So we're gonna buy calls above, okay, and sell calls as well, just below the calls we buy. And then on the bottom part, we're gonna sell puts, okay? So we're gonna be selling a put, and then we're gonna buy a put below the put. We're gonna buy a put below the put we sold, okay? That's how we're gonna do the iron condor. We're gonna use November 15, 2019 expiration, okay? Knowing that earnings are happening in December 12. Okay, this is putting us in a position of safety with a limited gap risk because there is no earning in front of us. Okay, now the call we're gonna sell, we said was going to be 305. Okay, when looking at the option chain, on top of 305 we got 307.5, so it seems natural or logical to go ahead and pick the 307.5 as the right option to be selected above for protection. And then in the bottom part, okay, we are shooting for 291 something, and it's either we got 292 or we got 290. Okay, and this is where I was referring to the fact that we may need to break the wings of the iron condor, because the 290, if you think about the distance from 290 to 291.48, okay, we are talking about $1.50, okay, where here we are talking about from 305.97 to 305, we are talking about $1. But beyond that, okay, beyond that, you know, you can see that 290 is below the line, and 305 is not above the line, is also below the line. So in other words, if I was to draw this perfectly, the 305 call is actually more or less here, okay, where the 307.5 is a little higher. So it's kind of, the 305 call is below the line and the 307.5 is above the line, okay? And with the put side is more like that. I got the 290 put below, okay, and whatever put I'm gonna have is gonna be even lower than that, right? So I got two choices: break the wings of this condor, or go ahead and I'm just thinking another way to approach this, which could make sense, is to go ahead and use the 292.5, which is also slightly above this line, being this line 291.48. That's $1 above, $1 inside. Okay, instead of above, let's use the term inside, where 305 is also more or less $1 inside. Okay, so by doing that, you know what, now we probably don't need to break the wings for that iron condor, and we can just treat it as a normal iron condor. Okay, so 292.5 would bring us down to 290 for the put. Okay, so probably I would say this may be a setting that makes this iron condor structure to work okay. So let's take a look. Okay, we're gonna get into the analysis tab. We're gonna use the put side. We say it's gonna be 290 and 292.5, and on the upper part it's going to be 307.5 and 305. Okay, so that would be the condor. So it's looking like it's gonna be okay. Okay, it's looking like it's gonna be okay. Yeah, it is looking like it is going to be okay, but let me explain why am I saying that. So first of all, let's bring a calculator and let's get to understand the risk of the trade. So what is the greatest risk for this trade? Well, the greatest risk is the distance between 305 and 307.5 or 292.5 and 290. That's the greatest distance, that's the greatest risk, and that's $2.5. Okay, so $2.5 is the distance between strikes, both above and below, because we didn't break the wings of this condor. It's a standard condor with the wings separated by $2.5 each. Okay, so in this case, we are okay from that risk point of view. So that's $2.5. Now, based on the notes that we saw earlier, for us to be happy with taking this risk, we will need to collect at least 15% credit, representing 15% of the risk assumed. So if the risk assumed is 2.5, 15% of 2.5 is 37.5 cents. And notice how I'm not pointing at the right place. The midpoint of this condor is actually exactly that. So we are being paid what we need to be paid for this condor to be accepted as a valid trade. I am not saying it's a magic trade, it's an amazing trade, but it is a valid trade based on the rules that we have. I also want to add one more thing, even though I'm saying all of this quite quickly, because again, I'm looking at the clock and 5 minutes from now, the option chain will be resetting. So when you do an iron condor with 2 days to expiration, the problem is that there is no opportunity for us to do any sort of damage control approach. Where the other day, for example, we were looking at some trade and we were talking about butterflying it, isn't it? It was butterflying an iron condor where we're discussing different possibilities, okay, that could have been valid for the trade, but in this case you would not have any choice, any opportunity to do any of this, because we only got 2 days to expiration, and that's gonna go very, very quick. Okay, so but anyway, that's the trade that we have in front of us. The everything is looking okay. So it's a valid one. Okay, I'm not super delighted with the fact that the 305 call is slightly inside the range. The 292.5 put is also slightly inside the range. I am not delighted about that, but I would say it's not a crazy one to do, because this UFO should push prices higher than that, and therefore price should remain above 292, since the on-field orders are located at 293. And also on the upper part, okay, the on-field orders are located at 305, as you can see, and we are using the 305. So this one is really, really tight, but it's looking okay from that point of view. Of course, the ideal setup would have been that we had the 306 option available and also the 290. Okay, so I'm gonna explore a variation of this setup to see if we can make it work better, which I doubt it's going to be the case. But we're going to try just in case, because if we can make it better, it would be worth it for us to explore. Okay, so I'm just going to copy all this text and I'm going to try. Okay, I'm going to try to do a 307.5 and 310. Basically, I'm shifting everything higher for the call side. You see that? Okay. And then on the put side, I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to move down the put side to 290. Okay, and I haven't checked, but I am counting, okay, or I'm expecting that it's likely I'll be able to find the 287.5 strike. Okay, and if I was to do that, of course, I'm going to get paid less, but, you know, it may still work, okay? And then I would have less risk on the trade. This would be a safer bet, okay? But again, not fully sure if this is gonna work. Okay, so I'm just gonna analyze duplicate trade. So I just duplicated my iron condor. I'm gonna uncheck the one on top. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I need to make a little bit of room. Here we go. I have it. So let me first look at if we have the 287.5. Yes, you do. Yes, we do. The 290. Oh, I cannot. The 290 only pays 8 cents. The 307.5 pays 23, which is borderline with the 25, but certainly 287.5, we're not going to take that with 009. Okay, so, out of curiosity, we're going to review this trade when the market opens to see if the one on the left is going to be the one, or maybe we can make the one on the right. I'm going to make it blue color to work. Okay, so we see if it's the purple color or the blue color, the one we execute. The blue color is looking like very, very complicated unless Costco was to open, moving down aggressively, and then all these options were to start inflating their value. I would see this very, very difficult for this trade to work. But it's okay. We're going to look at other opportunities as well. Okay, so I'm just saving my desktop here. Again, it's 9:19, which means that in 1 minute, the option chain will reset. 10 seconds, actually, the option chains will be 0. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop my non-directional trade research and focus on the directional trades, looking for long and shorts, okay, to see if we could find any setup that makes sense. Okay, and we have more time to work on the charts when doing directional trades, so let's do that while the option chain is being reset for 10 minutes. Okay, so what do we have with the S&P? The S&P has been making all-time high. Look at the amazing, unexpected, based on stats, propagation of this climate. Okay, this is beautiful, isn't it, when these things happen? It really enhances your profit. Some of those trades that we have in the accounts have been working quite well, isn't it? Most of these trades are long and they are working very, very nicely. And I believe that some of you should be in some of those trades. So good job there. Of course, this is not purely representative. We talked about that last time. All those trades are actually long. I don't have any short in my portfolio, and you should never do that, right? So you should always have a proper balance, your proper amount of delta in your portfolio based on the S&P, okay? So anyway, that's what we got with the S&P. And also when it comes to the VIX, very quickly, I want to take a look at the VIX. So the VIX, of course, with such a beautiful market, okay, the VIX got quite, let's call it boring, okay? Look at the propagation of the climate on the VIX going down, 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 down. This has diminished greatly the value for the options. And I'm actually surprised that we got 18 symbols to look for non-directional opportunities as a credit, because given the fact that the VIX have been dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping for a while, really the amount of premium is not amazing at all, okay? And look at what's likely to happen if the VIX tries to go up. Look at the huge amount of unfilled orders to sell, which is likely to bring the price of options down. Okay, so nice setup if we find good non-directional trades, but it's gonna make it difficult for those trades to be found. Okay. Hey Bojan, good to see you. Brian, how are you, my friend? Hello. Very nice. So anyway, looking for directional trades, okay? And again, I always start with the long ones. So let's today begin with the short ones. So what do we have? AEM. So looking for AEM trades. We'll see the climate loading in a minute, and that's the first thing I'm going to look at, the climate, to see if we have an opportunity to enter this trade, okay? So climate is good, okay? So we got 3 out of 464. So it would be a valid way to enter now around the current price, which is the average, which is 58.38. Okay, now the question is, do we have UFOs at that price, and are they giving us a probability which is fair? Okay, so we have 51 point something, that is good. And that is with regular session data. When switching for pre-post market, it drops 36%. So then that's not valid. Now, concern is that when looking for UFOs in the using regular session data, even though we do have the probability we need, unfortunately, we don't have any red UFO at the current price, which is the average. So no trade on this particular stock. So we're going to look at AU. Okay, and that stock, to be honest, if that's okay with you, I'm just going to skip it. Okay, it's $19 per share. It's just a little too cheap. Okay, I mean, if we didn't have any trade at all, we can always go back and revisit, but not the best, okay, when a stock is so cheap. Now, BUD, okay, not a good idea either, okay. We spent 15 candles into the current climate, which should be 8. So we've doubled the expectation for how long that price was going to keep falling without a pause. and therefore entering now, basically we are too late to the party, even though it could keep going, but it really is not really likely. Okay, so not a good idea. And for Colgate Palmolive, we got a similar setup with 7 candles out of 5. Okay, so if you take 5 and you add 50% of 5, that's 7.5. And 7.5 will surpass today. When the market opens, that number 7 will show us 8, and 8 is certainly more than 7.5. So this is less exaggerated compared to BUD, but in both cases, we are too late into the climate to continue shorting those stocks. Okay, so we need to wait for other shorting opportunities. Okay, but that one would not be valid. Okay, so we're gonna move into directional long. Okay, and by the way, you guys have been very silent for like 25 minutes, which it's fine. Probably you're just following what I'm saying. But in any case, I would really appreciate a quick confirmation from your end, coming from you, so I know that you guys are doing okay. So if you are doing okay, please say you are doing okay. And if you have any question, no need for you to keep it for yourself. You can freely share your question or your comment with me. So I'll take a look. So with American Airlines, Alcoa, I don't know what I was thinking. We got 7 candles out of 4. So this climate is too stretched. Okay. So again, 4 and half of 4, it's being surpassed by 7. So again, we're not gonna go there. Apple, okay, Apple, such an important company in the context of the US markets. Let's see how is it going. Okay, so I can see Angel, Pansy, Lisa, Ray, Thui, everybody's good, wonderful, guys. Really appreciate your feedback, guys. It's really critical on my end. If not, it's kind of like, I know you're there, but it's kind of like I'm talking to my computer. Okay, so it's very, very important that we are well communicated. Okay, so look at this amazing move on Apple. This is just absolutely far from what probabilities would suggest. Probability would suggest 7. We reached 28 candles in a row, confirming the direction of that particular climate. This is such a strong climate, okay? And certainly beautiful to see, but way too late for us to enter by stacking probabilities in our favor. So we're gonna just look at something else, in this case, Abbott. And Abbott is providing us with a valid climate, which is 4 candles out of 5. Okay, today is going to be 5, so it's going to be 5 out of 5. So we are still on time entering this particular stock, which is potentially going to give us UFOs. And what we need is those UFOs to be lining up with this value of 83.38. It's going to be a little higher than that, isn't it? Because when the market opens, we expect it to be a little higher than that. So we'll need to see if we have UFOs lining up with that value. Okay, so as you can see on the upper left, pending data PD. So we're just waiting for the full set of data to be loaded for Abbott, and we will go for it, planning a trade to go long. Okay. Okay, so it's taking a little longer than what I would expect. So I want to check the download scheduler just to, so it's here, it's downloading, as you can see. You know what, I'm just gonna kill the download. Sometimes this helps. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and switch to pre and post market data. So it's continuing the download. Okay, so 52% is what we got with pre-post market data. That 52 becomes 54% if we use regular session data. Okay, so certainly that's the way to go. Now, problem, okay, and that's what it is. The UFO we have available at 82.78, which looks beautiful with 54%, which is a nice probability for a stock, happens to be lower than the average. Okay, we don't have the confluence. Actually, let me not say that too quickly. Yes. Yeah, that's correct. So the average is 83.00, and it's not like 83, 33, 38 is so far out. But again, with the close higher yesterday and with an open today for Apple, which is going to be above the same price, for sure that average is going to move up to, even higher 83s, and therefore that UFO is too low. Okay, too low to qualify as a valid entry. Okay, so it's okay. We'll go for Adobe and keep looking for the same. Brian, when balancing our portfolio Greeks, do we just take into account the values when we enter the trade, or do we use the Greeks values at their live values? When balancing our portfolio, yeah, you need to. Okay, so it's two things. One thing is the Greeks that you see on the Option Station Pro when you are planning a new trade, and these would be the Greeks at entry, isn't it? A different story is to assess the amount of Greeks you have in your portfolio. Then you will be looking at the live Greeks. Okay, so you will be looking at the managed section. You will be looking at these deltas here, and that will tell you the Greeks of your portfolio, and that's live Greeks. Okay, but then when adding new positions, then you would assess what those theoretical Greeks suggest compared to the ones live in the portfolio. Okay, not sure I phrase it in the most easiest manner to be understood, but hopefully you got me. If not, let me know and I'll repeat it. Okay, Ray, Jose, in the trade management of closing the trade after 3 candle move after entering larger time frame like W common time, what's the wiggle room since it large time frame move slow? Okay, let me try to reread that. Jose, in trade management of closing the trade after 3 candle move after entry in the larger time frame. Okay, so Ray, let me confirm this. Are you using time stops? If you're using time stops, your time stops should be counted in the edge time frame, not the common time frame. So therefore, it would need to be counted on the 55 minute time frame, not the weekly as you suggest there. Okay. Please confirm if I got your question right. Jose, do you personally trade cover calls? If not, why? Yeah, well, the answer is yes, but at the same time, not as an only thing. Meaning, I don't have an account where the only thing I do is cover calls. So in my account, I'll do a collection of different option strategies, and some of them are cover calls. Okay? And the reason why is because if you were to do cover calls only, then you, in my mind, you will get paid too little given my goals and given what I know options can pay, because cover calls basically it's absorbing whatever stock gives you and just get a little extra premium. Okay, meaning that you are not taking advantage of the leverage that comes with options. Okay, so cover calls means you own the underlying, and this kills your performance if you are a person like me who really likes to spice it up. Okay, so but again, you may be doing that in the context of an IRA account or some account for retirement, and that may justify it. Okay, but we need to keep going here. So let me see. I'm going to move into American Express, AXP. Okay, yeah, I never made a comment about Adobe, but the climate was too late. With American Express, we got 8 out of 8. Okay, so we are okay entering. So let's take a look at American Express because we got pending data. Price is actually entering the average now. So if we were to find a UFO at this price, we'd be ready to go. Yes, Ray, I get your point now. And yes, indeed, it would be 3 candles in the edge time frame. Okay. Also, you know, some of you guys may want to comment in the chat box. I know some of you have been doing experiments about time stops applied to Forex, okay? And given the decentralized nature of the market, I believe that some of you found a little bit more success giving a little bit more time for those trades, you know, like 5 candles or things like that. So feel free to comment, okay? And of course, Ray, do some backtesting to find out what rule fits you best, but certainly time stops should be applied to the edge time frame, not the common time frame. Anyway, let's continue here with American Express. 48%, that's not good enough. What if we switch to pre and post market? That's 41, so that is not good enough. So we're just gonna skip American Express altogether. So now we go for Boeing. Okay, so Boeing, we're gonna be loading Boeing here. So climate, we got 2. Okay, 2 out of 7. So that sounds good to me. Okay. We're just gonna wait for the pending data to go away. You know what? In the meantime, I'm just gonna click Baba for Alibaba, so it starts loading. I will also click Baidu. I will also click on Biogen. As you can see, I'm just going for the stocks of a higher price value first. Normally you get more options liquidity in those. You also got more advantage from utilizing the leverage built-in options trading. Okay, and that's why I'm doing so. So going back to Boeing. Here we go. Okay, so with Boeing we got 53%. That's nice using pre-post market. With regular session, 53 becomes pending data. 53 becomes 1, 2, 3. Come on, pending data. Okay, we just need to wait. Okay, got it. It's still okay. That's it. Now it's downloading. Now after Biogen, now it's Boeing, so it should be ready in just a sec. Okay, just a little more patience. Should be ready soon. So why is it not interesting? I'm not sure why this is happening. But we'll try again. Okay, here we go. So 48% with regular session, and pre-post market gives us 53%. That is much, much better. Now the average price is currently 357.94. This is what we have. So what I need to be able to take this trade, and I believe there was none, I need a UFO located around 357 something. I'm not sure what's happening today with the speed of download. The data coming into my TradeStation is not being downloaded at the speed I would expect or I would want. Okay, so you know what? I'll come back in a minute. Okay, so let's take a look at Alibaba. Okay, well, Alibaba is going to be easy one. Okay, so 14 candles out of 7. This is way too stretched. Okay, and we're going to pass on that. Back to Boeing. Okay, so we got our UFO, we need to be 357, and unfortunately the top is 351, so it's not lining up, it's not close enough to the average. Okay, we may find a lot of those situations today, and the reason why it's because the S&P itself is very stretched. We have seen that climate very, very stretched, and therefore that probably is making many stocks to be away from their averages and so on. And that's why. Okay, anyway, with Baidu we may have a different situation with 8 out of 4. Well, actually no, we don't have another situation. It's too stretched as well. Biogen, okay, we got 3 out of 4. That's fine. Now 48%, that is not good. So let's check regular session to see what we get. We got 51%. That is okay. But notice how Biogen is on the other side of the average. And we got no green UFO on top of it. So we're going to have to pass. And therefore, I'm going to move into Caterpillar before I go find more opportunities. And we'll assess first the climate. Oh my God, 24 candles out of 5. It's amazing moves, guys. The moves that have happened in recent times, isn't it? But yeah, late to the party unless we're in already, isn't it? So all good. So let's go back to our non-directional trades opportunities. Okay, let's continue working on that, and then towards the end of the session we'll go back to check on directional trades at that moment in time. Okay, so I'm going to look into Home Depot. Okay, and of course this is non-directional, so immediately I need to go and check my earnings date. Give me a second, guys. Okay, earnings is on the 19. Okay, on the 19, that means that it's okay for me to use a Friday expiration, but I cannot use 22nd because 19 is happening before 22nd. So I can use maximum 15, and yeah, we're gonna have a problem here with no red UFOs. So pre and post market 54 and pre post market is 48. Yeah, so Home Depot will not be good with no red UFOs around the current price. We'll check FedEx. So while we check FedEx, I'm gonna type FDX, which is the ticker symbol, to check on the earnings. And the earnings, that's good. Earnings are on the 18. So as long as we got the UFOs, we're gonna be able to do something. So we do have UFOs above. Now, unfortunately, 46%, that's not good enough. So let's check pre-post market to see if we get a better value, and we don't, okay? Which means that FedEx is not gonna be a good candidate for our non-directional trades in that particular case. So let me see, let's keep going. Low, okay, NVIDIA, let's go for NVIDIA first. NVDA. Yeah, thanks for that, Dirk. I'm reading your message. So November 15, so we cannot do NVIDIA. So let's take a look at low. So with low, and notice I'm using, I'm not doing it exactly precisely, but I am looking at the stocks with the higher price points first. So that would be November 20, and that means that we could use November 15, but we cannot use November 22nd, okay? November 15 is fine, but it's not fine with November 22nd. So waiting for PD to move away. What else do we have in the list that we'll shoot for afterwards in case that doesn't work? Walmart could be a candidate. Okay. ULTA could be another candidate. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the PD to go away so we can measure probabilities. We need at least 50 for non-directional. Sometimes we have taken 48, as low as 48 we'll take it, but not below that. Okay, and the reason why is because with non-directional trades we do get to accumulate time decay, and that works in our favor. Look, I'm gonna click on ULTA just because it's taking a while to load. I will also click on Walmart. Okay, and revisit the list. MLNX is really not liquid, so I'll pass. And then, yeah, well, certainly BBY will be another one that we'll check afterwards. Okay, so going back to low. Okay, so with low we got 46%. If I change to pre and post market, then low becomes 54%. So 54% works. Okay, I'm not sure we have UFOs above, so let me look at the monthly time frame. Many stocks are making all-time highs, so that may be the case. So if I was to load data starting April, okay, so first date, April 1st, 2019. Okay, I will be able to see what's above. And yes, you know what? I do have something above. Okay, so we do have UFOs above and below. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough because even though we do, I'm just gonna pass on this because from the current price to the upper red UFO, which we do have, yeah, so we have that particular distance, but then if you look below, okay, the UFOs below are so far down and we have nothing else above, okay? So yeah, so you know, ideally you want to be in the middle of the range when you do an iron condor, and this is not the case at all today. Little bit of a struggle today to find the trades, isn't it? So let's move into ULTA. 46% with a pre-post market. By the way, let me go back to my regular amount of bars. So 45%. And if I move to regular session, we are dealing with 44. So ULTA does not qualify. Let's check Walmart. So Walmart is giving us the 50% we need. That's fine. What if I look at pre and post market? That is 52. It's even better. Again, where are we at? We're close to all-time high, and we don't have red UFOs. So Walmart would not be a good candidate for this type of trade. So then I'm going to check on BBY, and if BBY is not working, so then basically that's it, because the other stocks in the list with a little bit of a higher price point, they happen to be ETFs. Okay, so I'm not going to go there. 45% is what we get with pre-post market. Regular session is giving us 47. So yeah, the way the large market players are trading that stock, it's very simple. They're just canceling their orders. So we cannot rely on that because it's giving us lower figures. Okay. So yeah, non-directional trades today, guys. So we are going back to the world of directional trading to continue the initial application and hopefully find some valid trade. So let's begin. What do we have here? And I'm just surprised that my list starts with A, ends with C. This is very weird. I'm just gonna rerun the scan, guys. Same here. Starts with A, ends with C. This is very weird. Non-directional is fine from A all the way to W, but I don't know, maybe I interrupted the scan by mistake earlier, okay? And by the way, you will see my process to take a long time, and the reason why is because I got my settings, okay, setting preferences. Someone was asking about this yesterday in the short-term session. So settings preferences, I have it as a timeout duration of 2 minutes. So I'm giving TradeStation lots of time to collect the data. The reason why I am physically located in Asia, and there is certain level of latency between Asia and the location of TradeStation servers at times. And if I don't do that, even charts are normally okay, but for the scanner, I've seen sometimes results that were not satisfactory. So if you are located in a place in the world where your internet is producing certain latency, either because you are far to TradeStation servers, like it's my case because I'm in Asia, or because you happen to be in a place where the internet is not working fine or something like that. So then what would fix your problem would be to increase that timeout parameter like I had, okay? So you go to settings, okay, preferences, okay, and then you just scroll this to all the way to the right to higher timeout allowed up to 2 minutes, okay? And the downside is, of course, it takes a little bit of time, okay? But anyway, you know, in the meantime, maybe this was not expected, so maybe this is a good time for me to take a look at the Bitcoin, okay? Earlier, that was Mas Ann was asking about the Bitcoin, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm just gonna get my charts. Okay, now Mas, what's your view of cryptocurrencies? You're looking at it. Certainly, I don't think you are looking at it from an intraday point of view. You are probably looking at something a little bit larger, but I would really like to know. Okay, so let's go ahead and load a layout for cryptos, which is much further out. So let's use FX monthly. By the way, interesting times for crypto lovers. I was reading an article today, and again, it's just an article, it's nothing magic, but there may be a possibility for China to release their own cryptocurrency in 2 to 3 months' time. And if that was to be the case, I'm pretty positive many key countries in the world would follow through, creating their own legal cryptocurrencies that are managed by their central governments, which would be probably an impactful change worldwide at many, many levels. Okay, so I'm just gonna look at the Bitcoin and not futures, cryptocurrency. So BTC USD. So we look at what's going on in this cryptocurrency, and certainly up climate here for this cryptocurrency. Okay, unfortunately, in this time frame, given the duration for this market, as you can see, statistics are zeroed out because we don't have data enough to have proper samples for stats. And it does look like long-term we are in an up climate, but it's also very clear that we don't have UFOs at this current price. Okay, so in a very, very long-term perspective, careful with the Bitcoin specifically. Let's look at, if we were to look at it in a weekly time frame point of view, which is still quite long-term, but just a little less. So let's see what we've got. So loading the Bitcoin. Not sure why something is really slowing on my computer. Anyway, here we do have data enough to get stats, which seems that when going up, it should be 5 candles. We already have been moving up by 5 candles. And none of those 5 candles gave us a confirmed climate. In other words, this move, it's really not a move that defines itself very clearly in a very specific direction, okay? And on top of that, even though the current average is 69.02, well, actually, that's fine. We do have a UFO at that price, okay? So if price was to come down, that UFO may be quite key, okay? So, sorry, guys, I was not using the right symbol. I thought I typed it, and it was the other one. Sorry for that. So getting back into Bitcoin. Okay, so still not enough data to define the climate. And in this time frame, the climate is not defined, but it's pointing down more than up, okay? So let's look at one more time frame for the crypto, which is the daily, FX daily. Ray, I've reviewed the long-term trade video and your fundamentals approach is very helpful. I am curious, how do you approach Forex fundamentals since most monetary policies are doing further easing? Well, with Forex, the way I do fundamentals is way simpler than that. Okay, and you can see here, well, you know what, let's finish the crypto first and then I'll give you an answer to that question. That's a very, very good question. And even though it's going to be a Forex question with a Forex answer, certainly it falls very, very well into longer term trading as you are about to see. Okay, so if you guys out there are not trading Forex, you should learn, even if you plan to use Forex for the long term. First, because Forex is such a relevant market, but second, because even for the long term, there are certain things that I haven't showed you really, but there are certain things that could be done which are very, very powerful. So I'll take advantage of your question, Ray, to give you a little, a little bit of a demonstration of what I'm talking about. And really, something it's not running properly on my end with my computer running so slow. That's really not normal. So Bitcoin, okay, we have it. Okay, so the Bitcoin now is showing you a down climate in the daily time frame, 6 candles out of 5. Okay, and AutoUFO is still loading, but we do have, the average is 89.08. Okay, the average is 89.08. And it's a little further up, and this is 89.14. I mean, if price goes back up, remember the average will move up too. So we're going to have an average more or less lining up with this area of sell-on fillers for Bitcoin. So, really everything is pointing at the Bitcoin going down much more than going up. And certainly there could be a major change of climate and everything changes direction. But as long as those unfilled orders act the way they are suggesting to act, Bitcoin is more likely to continue falling than continue going up, okay? In the longer term. Okay, but anyway, for the forex, okay, Ray. So notice what I have here. Okay, so in my watch list for forex, I got currencies with positive swap and currencies with negative swap. In other words, if I take this positive swap, okay, it means that those currencies, if I get long those currencies, I'm gonna get paid interest rates on leverage by being long. And if I was to use this minus swap, okay, it means that I'm gonna receive interest rates on leverage if I was to short any of those currencies. So what do I like to do? I like to explore shorting opportunities with larger timeframes on those currencies, knowing that while I'm short those trades and hopefully they move in my direction, in the meantime, I am being paid interest rates on leverage because of the negative swap, or long, and same story, but long with those currencies that produce positive swap. Now, for these currencies to produce a positive swap or a negative swap, it means that the fundamentals are on my favor directly, because you have a differential of interest rates, which is working on your favor. Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm having a problem here with the scanner. Okay, so so I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to plan an additional trade here. So maybe what we can do, I can illustrate for you what I meant by that. Okay, so look, if you look at fxtrade.com, for example, interest rates. Okay, if you look at that, world interest rates. Okay, so what do you see? So you can see that here are the interest rates from certain key banks. Okay, so for example, the Swiss National Bank is negative interest rate. Okay, is one of the most negative, while the US and Canada is one of the most positives. So if I was to combine Swiss and US, or Swiss and Canada, I may end up with a potential combination, for example, US dollar Swiss, where I'm gonna get positive interest rates as long as I buy long this currency. And again, fundamentally speaking, I am directly putting those interest rates on my side, isn't it? Because the fact that the US dollar got a greater interest rate than the Swiss franc means that the economy in the US is probably better than in Switzerland, where the interest rates are negative. Okay, so I'm automatically putting that on my end. So the moment I've done that, so what I'm gonna, knowing that the US dollar Swiss franc got fundamentals on my favor, okay, so what I'm gonna do is to look for chart setups either on the daily or the weekly or the monthly time frame. Okay, so I got here on the left, my tab on the left is the daily time frame. My second tab on the right, which is loading, is going to be the weekly time frame. As you can see, weekly time frame. And the third tab that I am loading here, which is loading, it's going to show the monthly time frame. Okay, it's going to show the monthly time frame. So what am I looking at? Well, I'm looking at the Swiss franc exclusively because of its fundamentals. I am looking at climates that allow me to buy, only buy because that's how I get the positive swap. Okay, which in this case is not good because I am below the average. Okay, so the daily time frame would not work for the Swiss franc. But what about the monthly time frame? Well, the weekly time frame. If I load the weekly time frame on the Swiss franc, okay, I happen to have a 1 dot of a climate, okay, out of 5, and price happens to be entering the average, which is currently located at 99.05. So the question is, and it's still loading here, so you can see the 3 dots, which means it's loading. Okay, so do we have UFOs lining up with this price? Okay, and here I got 98.95. Well, 98.95, unfortunately, it's below the average. So if I was to use those UFOs, I would be purchasing below the average. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that because I will be breaking the rules. Okay, so you can either wait for price to move up, and maybe it's gonna give you a UFO, and that new UFO will be lining up with the average, and then, you know, remember this is 144 minutes, okay, so maybe a few hours from now, maybe tomorrow, you can plan on a trade using that UFO to get long the US dollar Swiss franc for a trade that is gonna last a few weeks probably, because it's a weekly time frame climate. And while you are in this weekly trade, you are being paid interest rates on leverage while you also benefit from the fundamentals. Okay, so this is the way to do it. Okay, but again, I will need to wait on this one. So let's go ahead and check the monthly setup, where now I'm looking at the monthly combined with the 377, and I'm loading the US dollar Swiss franc. Okay, and with the monthly, really no good, because we are looking at a down climate, so I will need to ignore that one. So for me to be able to take this trade where fundamentals are on my end, I can only do it with the weekly time frame in the case of the US dollar Swiss franc. But feel free to go through the list, because all those currencies give you positive swaps. For sure, do the math yourself as well, double check with your broker that that's the case, because it may or it may not be the case, okay? Every case is a different case, okay? So let me show you how to check that, at least my favorite way on how to check. Just one sec, I need to turn on a piece of software I was not planning to use, so just bear with me one sec. Okay. Almost. Okay, so I'm just bringing to the screen my phone. Okay, this is my cell phone. And what I'm doing here, well, I got an MT4 platform running where, let's say I want to look at the US dollar CAD. I would just click on it, go for symbol properties, and here in the bottom part, you can see, okay, what happens if you go short and what happens if you go long. So if I go long, I'm gonna make $4.68 per day just to be long one lot, okay? Contract size, that's one lot of Forex, okay? So it's very easy to see on MT4, and no matter your broker, you just click and hold, okay? Go for symbol properties, okay? And you get to see that, okay? Which is nice, okay? So this is how I like to do it the most. This was my personal cell phone, by the way, so I like to check it there, okay? Just a little bit of a personal choice, if you wish, okay? And yeah, so that's how I do it, right? And so double check your currencies to be currencies that give you either positive swap or negative swap, because that tells you the direction in which you should trade, and then you just go check the daily or the weekly or the monthly setup, looking for a climate that confirms fundamentals. And the moment the climate confirms fundamentals, then you go check for the UFOs that align with the EMA, and you just trade normally using the same flowchart that we always use, but knowing that fundamentals are on your side if you were to approach it in this manner. Okay? Okay, so now I'm just gonna go back to TradeStation to see if that works. If the scanner worked. Interesting. A to C again. A to C again. So you know what? Maybe I was overthinking, and this is just the opportunities available today that happen to be A to C, and we don't have anything beyond C. It looks weird to me, to be honest. I feel like I would like to reset or reboot my computer and restart the scanner. But that may be the case, okay? So it's okay. But anyway, we got to the top of the hour, and you know what? It was improvised, but we talked a little bit about Forex. By the way, that's what I just showed you is powerful stuff, okay? How many of you are trading Forex here in the session? It's correct. That's what you have as well, Dirk, okay? Well, that makes me feel better. It's just such a coincidence, right? From A to C, I almost never seen that, and it made me feel that maybe something was wrong. Yeah, Ray, thank you for that. Thank you for that. You know, doing things that are powerful and simple it's amazing and it's the way to go. Okay, if you do something powerful but it's too complicated, sometimes you cannot fully take advantage of it. Okay, but when you keep it simple and it's powerful, then it takes little time for you to implement it. The probability of you making mistakes when you implement it is low, and you make your life easy, right? Which also helps you keep those emotions under control, which we all know how important that is, isn't it? So keep it simple. That's it. That's the advice. Anyway, by the way, I didn't share this in the room. And it may be interesting for you to know that I will be running a Forex class, even though we talk about Forex here in the sessions and so on, but I'll be running a Forex class like with a proper, let's call it a proper sequence beginning to end, which is going to be 5 days online, 3 hours a day. So if some of you are interested, shoot an email to reach@tradewithufos.com, and we can send you more information if you happen to be interested. I guess most of you know this website, right? This email address, reach@tradewithufos.com. Just in case, I just wrote it there. So if you happen to be interested to know a little more how Forex works and so on, I'll be running a class online 3 hours a day, starting from 8 in the morning, New York time, until 10, let me say that correctly, 8 to 11 New York time. I believe that's the time. Again, if you're interested, shoot an email. We'll send you specific and accurate information, because right now I'm not sure if it starts at 8 or 9, but I think it's 8. Anyway, so pleasure, guys, being your guide today. Little what I thought was a technical issue, that was not. Today is not a day where we executed too many trades together, isn't it? But that's what it is. In any case, if we learn something new, let's say it's still a good session. So anyway, let's keep positive. You know me, I prefer to really be able to execute the trades, because that's how I think I help you the most. But today is what it is. And look, we didn't find any trade meeting our rule. So we are being perfectly disciplined by sitting on our hands, which, by the way, is one of the most difficult things to do when you realize you're a trader, but you realize today it's a day for you to sit on your hands. It's quite challenging to the mindset, especially if you're new. Okay, so we'll just be professional and disciplined, which is our job. That's it. Anyway, thanks for that and for your very positive messages, guys. It's always such a pleasure to spend this 1 hour with you. And we'll see you soon again, and we'll keep going, guys. Okay, so keep up the good work, and remember, we are around. If you need anything, shoot an email to us and we'll be happy to help. Okay, thank you so much. You guys make my day. You are so kind to me. Thank you very much. It really means a lot, guys. Thank you. See you soon. Bye bye, everyone.